Forget about that overpriced Xbox One Elite controller, or if you're on PlayStation, don't even bother looking at those scruff controllers. And then the Nintendo Switch Pro controller, well, I mean, that's debatable. But this odd looking accessory will give you an advantage when you encounter a player who's playing with a traditional joystick controller. This accessory is by GamerSir, and this is their newest version from the previous generation they released of this mouse and slash half a keyboard thing that will give your console mouse and keyboard advantages when playing some of your favorite multiplayer FPS games like Call of Duty and Battlefield and such. The unit itself is fully wireless that uses this receiver. It simply just plugs in like so, and depending on the system you plug it into, it will automatically adjust and will be able to identify if it's an Xbox, a PlayStation, or a Nintendo Switch. The manual will basically show you the layout for your console, so you know exactly where every button is. As you can see, there's a little bit of a learning curve. What I did, I just put little stickers on top so I could quickly get the hang of it, instead of going back to the manual searching for the left and right bumper and such. But if you look closely, this keyboard does follow the traditional keyboard layout, so a vast majority of us that already are familiar with computer keyboards, it shouldn't take you that long to get the hang of it. So the advantages that you get going with this accessory instead of picking up like a pro controller. Unlike a traditional controller, you are not limited in a joystick motion. So depending on the user, this could save you milliseconds when you're aiming at your target compared to a traditional joystick controller. This mouse that is included is RGB, which is really lightweight, and the cable is nicely braided as well as extremely flexible. It has a max DPI of 12,000, but if you have a gaming mouse of your very own, you can also swap it out. Now the keyboard itself, surprisingly, it's built out of the highest quality material possible. The exterior is made of this aluminum texture that has a nice space gray finish that actually adds a good amount of weight that this thing doesn't easily slide around when you're playing. It does charge with a USB-C port because this thing is, again, fully wireless. And on top, it actually has like this mini little display right here that would show you all the crucial information that there is to know, like the battery life and the type of mode that you're playing in. The RGB light does spread out across the keyboard very nicely, and you could cycle this with other LED RGB styles you like. The keyboard itself is made out of ABS plastic, which feels nice and also adds a nice grip whenever you're pressing on a key. And yes, these are red TTC switches. Now, after a couple hours of gameplay with this setup, with this accessory, it took me a while to get the hang of it, but once I mastered it, I mean, I was dominating in like first-person shooters. The mouse really does come in handy, especially when you and the opponent spot yourself at the same time. Just, however, I think I have noticed when gaming with this mouse on the console is the mouse movement isn't as smooth as it is on the PC. This is probably due to the fact that some of these console games weren't made for a mouse. But nonetheless, it still holds its upper advantage compared to the joystick. Now the layout of this included mouse is no different than your ordinary mouse. And then the keyboard unit itself does have this little joystick down here, which basically acts like your D-pad. So you can still play like even your standard single player games, as every button on your controller is laid out on this keyboard. Now, in my opinion, comparing it to the Elite controller, pressing the keys is super quick. It's almost identical having like paddles on the backside of your controllers, as everything is nicely flat and laid out and right there available. And it's also cool to know that you could also update this unit for future games, as there is a mobile app you could download and install on your smartphone, which will allow you to wirelessly connect and update. So if there's like a new Call of Duty game that recently got released, you could always update it to that new profile. So this unit, this GameSir thing, starts at $130. And yes, in my opinion, that may seem like it's a lot of money, but I know to the right person, this can be really worth it, because this thing is compatible to also be used on a PC. So if you have like, let's say, a PC laptop that you use to game, it's more pleasant to game with this than the mouse and keyboard that your laptop comes equipped with. And since it doesn't take up that much space, this is perfect for your mobile setup. Or let's say you have a gaming PC, but you like using Bluetooth mouses and keyboards just to give your office setup a slick look. But once in a while you like to play some games with it. Well, with this unit, you could also plug it into your gaming PC and begin gaming as if you were gaming on an actual gaming mouse and keyboard without dealing with all those other cables. And when you're done and you have clients, you could simply just store this away. So the fact that this is compatible on pretty much every gaming console and system known to man can be worth the price to the right user. But what about the next generation consoles? What was the Xbox Series X, or whatever Microsoft is calling it? It seems like it will still work because if you have the Xbox One S controller, this older generation controller is confirmed to be also supported on even the next generation Xbox. So it should plug in exactly the same way like it does on the current Xbox One. And the PlayStation 4 controller, it said it's going to be compatible with the PlayStation 5, but only for PlayStation 4 games, whenever you're playing those backward compatible games. But entirely, it still is left unknown if you could use this on the PS5 when it's released. But overall, this is a perfect alternative if the Xbox One Elite controller is too much for you, or if you don't want to pick up a scruff controller, but you still want to be able to kick butt, especially when you encounter players that are using those pro controllers. This is an awesome alternative. Now, if you're planning on picking one up, be sure to check the link in the video description down below, as that link will always be automatically updated on any sales or deals that's happening on that unit. Then if you're curious about the posters I have in the background, I'll be sure to also have them linked in the video description down below. I've been commonly getting asked a lot where you could get them. They're also linked in the description. If you'd like to see more console accessories for your controllers, make sure to check out this video over here as I show you an awesome accessory that allows you to have paddle buttons in the back of your controller without having to drill or solder or anything. And then this video over here, that's just a video that YouTube is suggesting specifically for you. Feel free to watch either or. Again, thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I will catch you all in the next one. See ya.